Well, welcome back. Hopefully I'm not too much of a mess. I was out back pressure washing some parts. I'm going to paint up the inner side of the bumpers, the support rails. I'll be painting the horns up, little stuff like that. The battery tray. I got to clean it all up before it goes back in. I'm going to show you what I use. That'll come later this week. But today I wanted to bring the topic of wiring harness, your factory wiring harness. Now, as you can see, it kind of looks like a mess down here. It doesn't look like much, but it looks like a mess. And if I can untangle it here, there we go. I'm working on it. Now, there we go. Okay, this is the factory harness right out of the front, piecemeal here, and let traffic pass. It's like a drone sprayer, big, I think like 6-foot span. But anyway, doesn't look in too bad a shape. So, aftermarket harnesses. I know a lot of people go for the aftermarket harnesses, and you can get everything cheap from 150 bucks up to 1,200 bucks, I think. I looked. And, whew, a little warm out here. I run around like an idiot. But anyway, aftermarket harnesses. I said you can get them from 150 bucks on up, $1,200, $1,300, something like that. I think I saw. Depends what you get and where you get it from. I'm not a huge fan of them. I have seen them. Obviously, I do not have one here. I don't like replacing something that doesn't need replacing. And, the good folks at Chrysler there, what is this car, 56 years old, something like that? Designed this system 56 years ago, well, longer than that probably. And it's lasted, it survived, the 56 years, and it's still pliable. There's nothing real hard. So if at all possible, go through your factory harness. Because I see a lot of the newer stuff, if you get a cheaper one, you get it where nothing's labeled right, doesn't have the correct coloring, and half of them, even if you get a better one, half of them don't come with the right connections. They'll switch certain things over to GM style connectors, and they don't give very great instructions from what I've seen. And usually, I've seen people, sometimes somebody real good at it can knock them out in a day, a couple days, a week maybe. But I've seen people that they've said it's taken them a year. They got a replacement harness and it's taken them a year to get it in the car. And that's unreal. And by no means am I an electrical expert, but if something's not broke, you don't mess with it. So I like to recommend you go through your factory harness. Go through the whole thing, check out every connector, see what kind of corrosion you might have. If there's any melted wires, clean them up, replace a connector if you need to, the bulkhead up at the firewall there, replace that. I'm sure you'd rather spend 50 bucks, 100 bucks to kind of rebuild, restore your original harness than spending $600 on an aftermarket one where you got to really fight with. So go through your factory harness. There's nothing wrong with it. Unless you're adding a lot of junk to it. I know the big thing now is fuel injection and everything else, and you need extra wires. So some scenarios, yeah, it would be better off add another harness, an aftermarket harness with a different fuse block, more fuse blocks, maybe traditional fuses versus the bus fuses that this uses. So I'll end up going through this, the whole harness. I'll pull all this tape off, and I'll be rewrapping it. Now, I don't know if this has been played with before. It seems most everything, I think the whole thing is electrical tape, except for right down here, which is like a heat-resistant cloth style tape. And you can get this stuff pretty cheap. It stretches. And where does it start here? I could show you. Ugh. Well, I'm not smart enough to get it started. Here we go. It's not super sticky. I mean, it'll stick to itself, but it's stretchy. It's strong stuff. You're not just ripping it like electrical tape. I'll show you what I'm seeing here. Can you see that? Real soft, pliable, heat resistant. So as I go through the whole harness here, I'll end up rewrapping the whole thing. Probably some sections with electrical tape, and then some sections with just this, or maybe I'll just do the whole thing with this. I think it looks more correct, even though I'm not going for concourse restoration or anything like that. But I'll check out every terminal, every block, clean up anything. If anything is melted, which I think on this one I looked before, nothing's melted on this. You know, it's surprisingly, this one hasn't been hacked up. Like a lot of harnesses get hacked up, don't get me wrong. I still think it's easier just to fix what the hack job is, you know. Fix what's there and use what's there, you know, if it's in good enough shape. Which is what I'm going to end up doing here. You know, I'll clean up all these connectors, clean them out, contact cleaner, wire them out, and I'll use dielectric grease. See right here I have a broken wire, so I'll end up fixing that. I'll pull the connector out and I'll just splice it back a half an inch farther and it'll be fine. But I'm going to go through, I'll check everything out, dielectric grease it, and put it all back in and reuse factory stuff. I think it's do not short any terminals to ground. Original label. That's cool. Don't see that every day. That's just what I wanted to bring you today. Obviously, I have less than a month here. Well, a little more than a month. Like a month and a couple days. This has to be running and going. So, gotta go through this wiring in the front here, get this all wired back up, put back into place. Gotta work on the motors back there. And gotta clean up the rest of the parts and put the rest of the parts back on. I know I said about cutting and buffing this and color sanding it, and I do want to do it, just not at this second. I don't really have the time, so as I get time, I'll come back to it and do it. But right now, I do not. As you can see, I put the hood on, and a couple other little things, but that's where we stand at the moment. But for right now, like I said, if you have a factory harness, you know, I pulled this out so I could paint. Obviously, you can see it's been sprayed on throughout the years. So we're going to clean it all up and make it look as close to new as possible. Put it right back in and put her to work. So, reuse your factory harness. I think that's it. I don't think I got anything else. I don't know what time it is. So, this I'll probably actually take in the house with me, and I'm going to sit there at the couch at night, or I'll sit out here with a chair and unwrap it and go through every little thing. That's most likely what I'll do. But tonight, I don't really have the exact time for it. I'm going to go work on the motors over there. So I'm going to catch you on the next one. Thanks for watching. As always, give a like, subscribe, share, and I'll see you later.